जय श्री माता जी। हम सभी श्री माता जी को प्रणाम करेंगे और सामूहिकता में वंदन लेंगे। तीन महामंत्र और उसके पश्चात श्री गणेश मंत्र। जय श्री माता जी। अब हम संतुलन की प्रक्रिया करेंगे। लेफ्ट हैंड श्री माता जी की ओर और राइट हैंड भूमि माँ के ऊपर रखेंगे। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी, कृपा करके हमारे अंदर शुद्ध इच्छा एवं शुद्ध विद्या प्रदान कीजिए। दाहिने हाथ को श्री माता जी की ओर रखेंगे और बाएं हाथ को आकाश की ओर प्रार्थना करेंगे। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी, कृपया करके हमें शुद्ध इच्छा शक्ति एवं कार्य शक्ति प्रदान कीजिए। दोनों हाथ श्री माता जी की ओर। परम पूज्य श्री माता जी, कृपा करके हमें पूर्ण संतुलन प्रदान कीजिए। हमारे चित्त को निर्मल निर्मल एवं शांत कर दीजिए श्री माता जी। चित्त को सहस्त्रार पे रखते हुए हम श्री माता जी की अमृतवाणी को ग्रहण करेंगे।
I bow to all the seekers of truth. The other day, I told you a little bit about the first center called as Muladhara Chakra and Kundalini, which is the residual consciousness in the triangular bone called as sacrum. As I told you that this is the pure desire power which has not yet been awakened and is not yet manifested within you, which resides here waiting for a moment to arise and to give you your second birth, your baptism. It makes you appeal. It gives you your self-realization. This pure desire is to be one with your spirit. This, unless and until it is fulfilled, those who are seeking will never be satisfied, whatever they may do. Now this first center is very important because this was the first center that was created when the primordial being started doing the job. This is the center of innocence, that is holiness. First thing that was created was holiness on this earth. This center is very important in all the human beings because animals have innocence, they have not lost it, while we have a right, or we can say we have a freedom to abandon it. We can do it. We can somehow or other destroy it by our so-called ideas of freedom. Now this center has a power to give us wisdom. Now wisdom is such a word that cannot be explained. Wisdom is the balance between your understanding of what is good and what is bad, where you really understand what is good for you, for your spirit, is wisdom. And when this center is alive and is not destroyed, then you really know what is wisdom is. For example, the person who has got this center very well developed can tell you whether it is the north or the south. Because the magnetism that is in the Mother Earth, this center is made by the element of Mother Earth. So the magnetism that is in the Mother Earth is there present in this center. When the birds fly all the way from Siberia to Australia, they do it with the help of this center because they know whether they are moving northward or southward. They have an innate wisdom to know which way to move, and that's why one should know that this center is also within us, but we have lost our sense of judgment because we have lost that magnetism within us. An innocent person is really like a magnet, and he attracts the people towards himself, just like a flower attracts a bee towards itself. There are some fishes in which they have found actual magnetic field, and in some of them they have even found a regular magnet placed in certain fishes by which they know whether they are going north, south, east or west. This center in us can be destroyed by various ways, as I told you last time. Now if you see from the top there's a blue line coming down. This is the power of our desire, by which we desire, is the emotional side of a human being. When a person neglects his emotional side or does not respect his emotional side, then this center gets lost. It gets very much destroyed. The emotional side in these modern times is not well understood by human beings. I'm sorry to say, but it is very true that when you destroy this center, first thing that sets in is impotency or overactivity, like the rapist and all that are created because this center is neglected. Both things are just the same in the eyes of God. Any extreme is wrong. Now those people who say that you can be enlightened through sex are really, I don't know what to call them. Because she is your mother sitting down there. She is only your mother. She has no other child, and she is holiest of holy. She is the Holy Ghost within you. And if you want to sex on your mother, I don't know if people understand that here. In India, it's impossible. We cannot understand this nonsense. So it's the same insult to your mother, like some people try to insult Mother Mary by putting Christ in a very awkward situation with her. It's something like that, we can say, happens when you start talking like this. It's a very great sin to do such a thing to your own mother, which is the Kundalini. And that's why the other day I told you, I have seen some people have Kundalini, which is all the time tossing her head and breaking her whole body and just feeling so helpless because she's made so weak, because the holiness from a person is vanished. Our idea of holiness has become so perverted, so perverted. And to add up to that, we have now gurus to tell us that it's a very good thing to do, you'll go to heaven. Actually, they're very honest, they say you'll go to bottomless pit, and bottomless pit means hell. Why do you need a guru for this? Actually, you have mastered this art. In England, when I went, I was amazed that they have sex they talk of sex and sex and sex, morning till evening. I don't understand. Like all important people talk, you see. That's how they go on talking about sex all the time. It's nothing but sex. It's so filthy. So filthy. They talk sex with the animals, sex with the children, sex with I don't know what's happening to human beings. How can we that filthy? I wouldn't be surprised after some time we will have our bathrooms inside our drawing rooms. You see, there's something like our privacy. Something like our drawing room where we meet people. How can you talk of these things and how can you discuss these things which are so private and so sacred? And that's how you lose them or you lose balance over them. This is one of the things that's happening to us because God has given us freedom. We think we can do what we like. But we have lost our wisdom. We have lost. I don't know why this industrial revolution, or I don't know whom to blame, but we have lost our wisdom to understand that these things are injurious. If it is not, logically we can see, why do we develop diseases? With free sex, all the sailors, under law, have to have in every port arrangements for getting injections for all kinds of complications that they have from sex life. Why is it you do not feel healthier with it? You lose all your health, all your charm is gone from your face, you get sunken and you look so horrid. It's a very good sign just now to see how nature reacts to it. So one has to be wise to understand that God has given us this thing to us, not to be insulted, but for us to lead a good, normal, good married life. And not to waste our energies in this kind of thing. But when people start thinking about it, then it's even worse. Then what happens? That this shifts from there, the attention onto the other side, and it goes to the yellow side, goes to the brain. When you start thinking about it, definite it is that you will become impotent. Definite, no doubt, at a very early stage, because it is a spontaneous thing. And when you start thinking about it, when your eye starts roving here and there, be sure your attention is gone to something which is so localized, which is so different, and which takes place only at a time when you are at a certain emotional spontaneity. It's very out of date to talk of these things to people, but if you are not careful about it, you have to find out the statistics of American young people, and you'll be amazed how many of them are suffering from horrible diseases. When I went to America, I found that 9 out of 10 young people who came to me were suffering from these horrible diseases, and most of them were impotent. It's a shocking thing. One has to face it as it is, and not to say, oh, I'm all right, I'm all right. This is not the way to look at things. We have to see to the statistics that are being placed before us and to know that there is something wrong about it. And with your wisdom, you have to reach certain conclusions about it. Now the second center, which I call as a Swadhisthana center, is also a very important center within us. The first center looks after all our excretion. It has got 4 petals. In the same way, in the pelvic plexus, which is manifested by that, which is a gross plexus within us, has also got 4 subplexuses. Now another one that we have is the Swadhisthana center, which is the second center. Second center has got 6 petals, and it supplies or it manifests in the gross, the aortic plexus, which also has got 6 subplexuses. Now this center is very important for us in the modern times. It's extremely important, and I think neglect of this center can create lots of problems. Now this center, if you see, is connected with the brain. And this center is responsible for our action, is the center of our creativity. When we think of the future, when we do any physical work, we use this center for that purpose. And one has to understand that these days we are developing lots of diseases because we have not understood what is the function of this center is. The foremost function of this center is to convert the fat cells for the use of the gray matter in the head. When we think too much, all the time about the future we plan, we go on planning into all details, what happens is that this poor center has to work very hard to produce new cells one after another for the use of your brain. Apart from that, it has to do many other functions. It has to look after your liver, it has to look after your spleen, it has to look after your pancreas, your kidneys, and also uterus among women. If you start thinking too much, all the time thinking, if you cannot stop your thinking, all the time your brain goes on thinking, a sort of a thinking process starts without your control, then poor this center has to work all that, your liver goes out. When your liver goes out, you must know that liver is one of the most important things within us because it nourishes our attention. Chitta. It nourishes our chitta. Now this attention, whenever it is spoiled because there are certain poisons within us. Any. It can be physical poisons, it can be mental poisons, it can be emotional poisons, any kind of poisons there are, especially the physical and the emotional ones, they go to this liver which sorts it out. This is the function of this liver, is to sort it out. But when you are not giving it sufficient energy, you are using it for thinking, then poor this center is left behind. It has no nourishment, nobody looks after it, it becomes sluggish. When it becomes sluggish, all the heat accumulates in the liver. And such a person doesn't get any temperature till he gets cirrhosis and he dies. Now when thinking goes on too much, people get tired of thinking too much. So they think that let's have something that will take us away from thinking, which will give us a kick outside. So they take some sort of a drug or a drink or alcohol and all that. All the saints in the world have said that alcohol is very dangerous for life. The reason is it goes against our awareness. This is a fact. You know that after taking a drink, our awareness becomes blurred or excited. It's not normal. That is the reason they said no. In Sahaja Yoga, I do not say don't do this or don't do that. I only want you to come to Sahaja Yoga, get your realization, and then you will not ask for it. That's a much better way to do it. But why they asked you? For example, if you read Moses, Moses has clearly said that these are strong drinks. Very clearly, I don't know if people read that. And they should be avoided. I don't know if the Jews do that. They should not be taken. He's very clearly said it. Abraham said the same thing, that drinks are not good. Why all these prophets talk about it? Because they are all born in that green patch of ours. They are all placed in this green patch where we get our sustenance, which is 10. We have got 10 sustenances within us, like the gold has a sustenance that it does not tarnish. In the same way, human beings have got 10 sustenances. And these 10 sustenances are represented by great prophets. The principle is called as Adi Guru in Sanskrit language, the primordial master. He has incarnated on this earth as Abraham, Moses, as Lao Tse, as Confucius, as Socrates. Recently, he has been as Sainath of Shirdi, not the other fellow, and other great people have been like Nanaka, Janaka. All these great saints came on this earth to tell us how to keep in the center, how to keep our sustenance, how to be human beings. As carbon has got 4 valencies, we too have got 10 valencies. We have to maintain those 10 valencies within us. That's what they came to tell us. But you see, if anybody says now, don't drink, half of the hall will be empty. If you say you cannot have free sex, 5 people will walk off. That's the problem. Here nobody likes to know anything about it, but it's a dangerous thing to do. Whatever it is that you have to keep in the center. You have to be in the center. And how to keep in the center is not to go to extreme, be moderate. And moderate life is the best way. But even if you have not been, doesn't matter. Kundalini is at this point in such a force that whatever you might have done, you get your realization quite all right. So it's a different point. But what I'm trying to tell you is this, that why these people said so. Why they said, now Muhammad Sahib is another one who said don't drink. He's one of them. He's just the same. There's no difference. There's no difference between Moses and Muhammad Sahib. I can prove it to you on vibrations. You can yourself know through vibrations that they were the same people, said the same thing. There's no difference of any kind. It's only people are fighting, I don't know why. I just can't understand what is there to fight between these two. They were just the same, preached the same thing, and when Moses crossed the river and the bridge was made, that bridge is the bridge which is symbolic of the Kundalini that creates for you to cross this void within us. It's very symbolic. They have worked so hard to tell you what is sustenance, where we have to be in the center. Because if you are in the sustenance, as he said, that only a thread of this Kundalini rises. It is not one thread that should rise. Actually, I've seen in people, the whole of it goes up like that and stays there in many people. But the trouble is, it rises because there's no space to rise. We have finished off with the Swadhisthana and with the another chakra which is in the center, which is the color is wrong. All right. In the center, that is the called as Nabhi chakra, means a navel center. So when you have an obstruction in the center, naturally the Kundalini, though it rises with full force, all the threads fall down, and only one somehow or other goes up and opens up the Sahasrara, thinking that at least if I open up there, then the others, the grace will fall and maybe it will open out more. So this is the problem. That's why they said that you lead a life which is moderate and temperate. And this is what they preach to. Now let us see what happens when we go to extremes. In the center, as you have seen, is the sustenance within us. Now if you try to go beyond this side or that side, what happens, let us see. Beyond this side is the subconscious. If you go, you enter into the collective subconscious. On the other side, if you move, that is the supraconscious, you enter into collective supraconscious. Now into this side are all the people, on the left side are the people who are still dissatisfied, very sly, sinister, horrible people who are dead, who do not want to take birth and who still want to torture people are still existing there. These are busybodies. They can possess you. They do possess. And on the right-hand side, there are people like Hitler who are very ambitious, who have died out of their ambitions and things like that. They still exist there. Either you enter into this side or either you enter into that side when you go to extremes and you just get possessed. It's a very dangerous area we are entering into. Recently I was seeing a BBC program and some doctors had discovered a very interesting thing. They said that cancer is triggered, listen to this very carefully, cancer is triggered by some proteins, they call it protein 58, protein 56 or something like that. When these proteins attack us from some unknown areas within us, which are built within us since our creation. What are these areas? I mean, this I've been telling for so many years, is the left side and the right side, the two extremes. Now what do we do when we go to the right side? Right side is the area where you think too much, where you project yourself in the future. Now like that you go on, then you start becoming a person who is more interested in the future than in the present. The center is the present. Now you start projecting your mind into that. When you start projecting your mind too much into that, you start moving into that side. With that, anybody who is an austere person, they think that if you are a very austere person, you lead a life of celibacy and all these nonsensical things, you see. All this is absolutely nonsensical. If you lead a life of celibacy, it's not going to help you at all. On the contrary, such a person becomes an extremely dry personality and ultimately dies of heart attack. And such a person is so hard-headed, so hot-tempered, that you must take a barge pole before you meet such a person. They are so cursing type, I mean so unaware of other people's health or anything, that they can curse anyone. And this is their job, is to curse this one and curse that one and curse that one. They're extremely dry people. They might take to social work in the name of God. Oh, they'll work like hell for the poor. They're thinking they're saving the poor and doing this and that. And while if you see them any other time, you'll be sure that such a person is absolutely burning with fire. They have a horrible liver, very hot temper. There's no sweetness about them. There's no magnetism about them. All the people run away from them. They're like Boy Scouts, you see, sitting on everybody's head. Do this, do that, you haven't done this, what are you doing? They will not sleep themselves and not allow anybody to sleep. They think that everybody is supposed to work under their thumb. And these are the people who are very ego-oriented, as shown there, are the people who move on to the right-hand side. Any austere ideas about religion can take you to this side. And this austerity is very dangerous for human beings because it cuts you off from the whole. Such a person may be entrapped or possessed by some sort of a personality on the right-hand side. I know of a lady who is very well known in India and who's got a big prize and this and that for her social work. I happened to see her first time on an aeroplane when she had no prizes and all that. She came with some sort of an odd stuff with her and she wanted to sit in the front seat. So the air hostess said, I'm sorry, this is reserved for some children who are sick and they have to go by this plane and we can't give you this. And the mother is there. She started fighting with the mother. How many sick have you cured? What do you think of yourself? And this and that. And she was just jumping from here to there and there to there and there to there. And she wouldn't allow the plane to leave. And for half an hour she was fighting to sit down there. And the amount of abuses she used for the air hostess, I was amazed. And she's supposed to be a woman who should be given a peace prize or something like that. I don't know, there was no peace on her face, neither around her, and everybody was so disturbed with the way she was on about it. It was really shocking to see this personality who was so hot-tempered and so meticulous about things. And she was arguing with her, this was my seat, and this was this, and this was that. Thank God, then they got her out, and the plane left the place. But I'm telling you, such people can be so frantically hot-tempered and can be so unaware of your presence there that you have to be very, very careful with them. Such people may look to be very, very successful in life, you see, and when they walk they have a upper lip and all sorts of things, you see. But it takes no time for them to realize that it's all tomfoolery going on. This kind of ego orientation can lead you to nothing but stupidity. A person can be extremely stupid and he doesn't know he has been, how stupid he has been, because he says, what's wrong? You see, a gentleman came to see us and he had a wife. She was only 16 years of age and the fellow was 80 years of age, you see. Naturally, I felt he must be the grandfather, you see. So I said, is she your grandmother, granddaughter? So my husband pinched me. He said, that's his wife. I said, really? I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know she was a... What's wrong? I can have a wife who is 2-year-old. What's wrong in it? I said, nothing wrong. Only thing people will laugh at it. That's all. All sorts of stupid things people do in this world. And they think, what's wrong? This is the best way to get along with your stupidity, till they discover that you are the greatest stupid person going wrong. Now this stupidity comes from this ego going up and surrounding your brain completely. You cannot see anything else. You just see yourself. My room, my house, my. You cannot see that there are others, that you owe some sort of a relationship to others, that you have to be kind to them, that you have to share things with them. You all the time think about yourself. And such people get possessed by supraconscious style. What happens in spirituality with such people? They start feeling their body is lying here and they go up and sit on a tree. They think it is realization or enlightenment. Just imagine. This is nothing but a supraconscious spirit has entered and taken the body away and put it there. I told you 3 Americans coming from America, and they were known to be very big scientists. They came to see me and they said, Mother, you have to teach us one thing. I said, what? We want to fly. I said, fly? You are already flying. What do you want to fly? They said, no, but we want to fly with ESP. I said, you should not do that. Because if you do that, then you are enslaved by these spirits. And you don't want to do that, to be enslaved by these spirits? Yes, whatever it is. Enslavement or anything. We want to have this, and we want to get this by which we fly. I said, why? They said, because Russia is doing it. And Russians are doing experiments with ESP, so we should also do. I said, if they are going to hell, are you also going to go to hell? They said, yes. What's wrong? I said, nothing wrong. Go with 2 running jumps. You can go very fast there. But as far as I am concerned, I am not for it. I am not going to doom your life forever. So then they asked me, I asked him, who has sent you to me? They said, one Patanjali. You see, there is a fellow called Patanjali who is a journalist. I said, this Patanjali has sent you? Yes, he has sent us to you. He was the man who used to leave his body and run all over the places. He was a journalist, you see, so he used to get the news before anybody knew. And he used to run out of his house, and the wife was so surprised that one day he brought some sand. And he said, yesterday, you know where I was? I was on the Juhu beach. From there I brought the sand for you. She got such a fright, and he used to shake before. Any photograph of God or Christ or anyone, he used to shake like that. So she brought to me, she said, this fellow is shaking. I don't know what's happening. He's rattling. Is it Parkinson's thing? I don't know what's happening. And here in the night he disappears. I lock up everything. Still he disappears. I don't know what to do. And it's very shocking. He said, sometimes I go and sit on a tree. I said, really? So I told him that you are possessed. He said, Mother, please take away. I don't want this nonsense. You don't know where I will end up. Tomorrow I'll be anywhere hanging in the air. I don't want to do that. And maybe that my body may not come back. And this is what people are doing now, is to take out the spirits. When they take out the spirit from a person, you see, they keep it with them. Like the children, the small children die in their sleep. If my mother is here and she has a child in America, she says, I want to talk to my child through a medium. It's a very dangerous thing. Never play with these mediums, very dangerous. And such a mother I know in Switzerland, she did that to a child, and the child died in America, in her sleep, because the distance is such that where there is day, there is night. and she was doing this in the daytime, and the child was sleeping. And she talked to the child, she heard his voice, everything she did, and the child died. Never go near these people who deal with spirits, is said by all the great people of the world. But we are not bothered. You see what's wrong?
जय श्री माता जी। श्री माता जी, आज के इस सुंदर और सामूहिक ध्यान के लिए हम आपको कोटि कोटि नमन करते हैं, कोटि कोटि प्रणाम करते हैं श्री माता जी। इसी तरह आप आपका परम चैतन्य हमारे ऊपर बनाए रखिएगा। हम सभी श्री माता जी को प्रणाम करेंगे और वंदन लेंगे। जय श्री माता जी।